As usual, carving of a maxillary premolar is not different from what we've done already in the maxillary central incisor and canine. First of all, we should name the surfaces, the labial, the lingual, the mesial, and the distal. Afterwards, we should divide the surfaces longitudinally into two equal halves, and then we should know the crown length. After specifying the crown length, we should divide the crown into 3/3 as always, because this will make easier for us to locate the different points that we draw according to. Then we should specify the mesiodistal width of the crown at cervix and the mesiodistal width of the crown at the contact points, and we draw the outline of the crown. As you know from the lecture, the outline of the crown, all the surfaces are slightly concave, the contact points are at the same level in the middle of the crown, and the cusp tip is towards the distal because the mesial cusp slope is slightly longer than the distal cusp slope. After drawing the outline on the labial and on the lingual sides of the soap, we start cutting the excess from all the sides. We start the cutting by the lines, and then we remove the excess in between. This should be the shape of the crown after removing the excess from both sides, both on the labial side and on the lingual side. On the mesial and distal sides, the buccolingual width at cervix of the crown is 16 from the midline from each side, and labially the crest of contour is at the junction of the cervical and middle thirds, and it is 18 from the midline. The lingual is 18 from the midline, but it's in the middle of the crown. Afterwards, we need to know where the cusp tips are. Okay, the labial cusp tip is 1/3 the buccolingual width of the crown. 1/3 the buccolingual width of the crown is 12 millimeters from the crest of contour. We put a point to specify the area of the labial cusp. Then the lingual cusp is 5/9 of the total buccolingual width of the crown. So from the buccal cusp, we draw a point 20 millimeters away and 4 millimeters shorter than the edge of the soap, because the lingual cusp is 1 millimeter shorter than the buccal cusp. Later on, we connect those lines together to know what is the shape of the crown on the mesial and distal sides. Connect the two cusp tips with a straight line. We do not draw the marginal ridge or the sulcus in between them, because we will leave it till the final stage. Draw on the crown the area where the contact points are, both mesial and distal. As you know from the lecture, that the mesial contact area is located at 1/3 the buccolingual width of the crown. That's, we draw a line coming from the cusp tip on the mesial surface of the crown to specify where the area of the contact point will be. As for the distal one, it's 1/4 the total buccolingual width of the crown, so we draw a line to specify where the area of the distal contact point will be. Then we remove the excess both on the labial and the lingual sides to get the shape of the crown. Now, as you can see, this will be the shape of the crown before the final stage for the roundation is. As for the stage of the roundation, you know that this tooth has a labial ridge and a lingual ridge. The labial ridge comes from the cusp tip till the cervical area, and it goes straight. As for the lingual ridge, it is more towards the mesial surface, so we draw it more towards the mesial because the tooth will taper more towards the mesial. We should always remove from the lingual more than the labial because all teeth taper towards the lingual.
Remove from the corners.
We remove from the corners on the lingual side. On the labial side, we should remember the places of the contact points as seen from the occlusal. As we said before, that the mesial contact point is at 1/3 of the labiolingual width of the crown in this area, and the distal contact point is at 1/4 the distance. So we need to remove from this corner more till we reach this line, and from the distal we remove less till we reach this line over here. Okay. Afterwards, we round the corners to give the tooth its final shape. And to demarcate the position of the labial ridge. The distal contact point should stay broader than the mesial contact point. The outline of the crown is straight or convex all around. As we are removing from the lingual, we should remember that the tooth from the lingual side looks more rounded or spheroidal and not angled as the labial side. So we need to round the corners more on the lingual side. And direct the crest of contour towards the mesial part of the crown. As you can note, the position of the contact area on the mesial is different from that on the distal side. Now to the occlusal, we draw the area of the marginal ridge. The mesial marginal ridge is a little bit more occlusal than the distal marginal ridge, and it is about 1/3 the length of the crown. And now we should specify the area of the central fossa. It should be in the middle between the two cusp slopes and not in the middle of the crown, between the two cusps. Okay? Now, the area of the triangular ridge, the crest of the triangular ridge should be kept in the middle, and then we remove excess soap from around till we reach the area of the marginal ridge from the right and from the left. The same thing is done for the lingual cusp. We remove the soap till we reach the marginal ridge. We keep a little bit of soap at the area of the marginal ridge because we want to do the carving for the triangular fossae. Now, while carving, we should draw the area of the central groove, okay, and the triangular fossae on the mesial and distal sides of the crown, mesial and distal marginal ridges. The shaping should be gradual. We might need to go over things again and again till the final shape is achieved. We need to sharpen the lingual cusp a little bit because, as you know, that the lingual cusp is sharper than the labial cusp. Finally, we draw the mesial marginal developmental groove on the mesial marginal ridge, which is slightly towards the lingual than the center of the crown, and we draw the cervical line, and the final shape of the crown will look like this. You can note that the mesial and distal sides of the crown can be known from the areas of the mesial and distal contact points. The distal contact point is more towards the labial. The mesial contact point is more towards the lingual when looking at the crown from the occlusal surface, also the area of the mesial marginal developmental groove.